Hello, I'm Jane and welcome to my classroom. Today we're going to be doing some maths. We just look at the learning intention here. The learning intention is we are learning to plot coordinates in the first quadrant of the Cartesian plane. So after I've shown you how to do that, and once you've practiced it, you might want to measure yourself against the success criteria here. So the first success criteria is I know why it is called the Cartesian plane. I can explain what an ordered pair is, and I can plot coordinates in the first quadrant. So if you can do any of those, fantastic, you've been successful. If you can do all three of them, you've been very successful. Alright, so why is it called the Cartesian plane? It actually was an idea thought up by a Frenchman, and his name was René Descartes. And if you have a look at the last bit of his name, here, car, I write that down there, and then I add the I-A-N, that's where the name Cartesian comes from. So what is the Cartesian plane? Let's look at a standard number line, one that goes horizontal from left to right. I'm just going to draw that on the board now. As we know, a number line goes in either direction, negative and positive, to infinity, which means it goes on forever. If I make that the middle, Alright, so this point here on a number line would be 0. I just write that there. And then here would be the positive numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Of course it can go on and on and on. Then this way are the negative numbers. So we've got negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, negative 6, negative 7, negative 8, and again I'll put an arrow there to show it can extend to infinity. Alright, so that's a standard number line which is used for all sorts of reasons and purposes. It can be used for addition, subtraction and directed numbers, which is your positive and negative numbers. Now if we take that number line and we take a copy of it and rotate it 90 degrees anti-clockwise, that will give us another number line that is this time vertical. So let's draw that in. Goes through that 0 point. Many students prefer actually to have their number line when they're using a standard number line this way, vertically rather than horizontally. Okay, there. And because we've taken a copy and rotated it this way, that means the positive numbers are here, and on a standard number line, if you're having it vertical, it would be positive above the ground and negative, what we call below the ground. So let's put those in. And an arrow to show that goes on for infinity, and here's the negative numbers here. And another arrow to show it goes to infinity. So this number line here is horizontal. Horizontal, the same way the horizon goes. And this way, up and down, is vertical. Alright, so for it to be the Cartesian plane, the horizontal number line is called the x-axis. Let's just write that up here, x-axis. And the vertical number line is called the y-axis. And let's write that there. So you've got the x-axis and the y-axis. And you can see there's 4 different parts to the Cartesian plane. And each one of those is called a quadrant. This one here, where you've got both sets of positive numbers, is where we start. And that is the first quadrant. So if I put there quadrant 1. This one here, we're going anti-clockwise, is the second quadrant. So we'll call that quadrant 2. This one here is quadrant 3, or the third quadrant. And this one here is quadrant 4, or the fourth quadrant. So how do we plot coordinates on this Cartesian plane? Well, you have to do it as an ordered pair. Let's just write this up there. Ordered pair. An ordered pair is in the order of bracket x, comma, y. An easy way to remember that it's in that order is because x comes first in the alphabet. So x is always first and then y. So it's in the order of x first and then y. That means you would plot a coordinate from the x-axis first and then the y-coordinate. So let's look at an ordered pair. Remember, we're only doing the first quadrant today. So if I look at an ordered pair that is 2, 3, this is your set of coordinates. And it's in the order of 2 first, because 2 is where you would plot on the x-axis, and 3 is the second one that you would plot on the y-axis. So let's look at the 2 first, and you just move along the x-axis until you find the 2. Let me just grab a different colour. And there's the 2 right there. And then the y-axis is the 3. So let's look at the y-axis until we find the 3. So all you do is you see where those 2 points meet. So let me just drop that in. And there is that point. And then you will just label it 2, 3. Let's just do one more. Let's look at 7, 5. So remember, it's an ordered pair and the order is x first and then y. So you need to plot the 7 first, which is on the x-axis, and then the 5, which is on the y-axis. So let's have a look where that is. 7 first. There's the 7 on the x-axis. Here is the 5 on the y-axis. Now let's dot the lines just so that you can see the point at which they meet is where you plot that point, and then you label it 7, 5. Okay, and that's the end of the lesson.